Hi and welcome, folks. Hi, honey. You well?
Hi, good.
Good. Today we're checking out the Fuji X-T30 Mark II versus the new guy, the X-T30 Mark III. A pair of mid-range, kind of budget Fuji APS-C cameras that outwardly are almost identical. Specs-wise, only a few things have changed in a significant way, but I have a feeling it's going to translate into some meaningful gains in the real world. I'm going to check out overall responsiveness, burst and buffer performance, bird detection, eye autofocus, plus test out high ISO, film simulations, and much more. Let's jump in. So look, I just took a first walkthrough with the X-T30 Mark II, really quite laggy and the autofocus just not that reliable. I'm now going to switch to the same lens on the X-T30 Mark III, same card, same everything. Take a walk back through and see if there's a noticeable difference. So one of the big differences between these cameras is the processor. The X-T30 Mark II had the processor 4, the new one's rocking their latest processor, the X processor 5, and in the cameras I've tested, it does offer a significant leap in terms of the processing power. So that should deal with overall lags, what you're seeing on screen going through the menus, as well as the autofocus performance. What I really want to see is a big pickup in how fast it picks up the eye or the subject or whatever it's looking for, and overall lags. I don't want to be a hater, but I have found that the previous generation of Fujis had so many lags in them. Having tested it a little bit already, there's a really noticeable difference here. If you were going to choose between these two cameras, I think that could be enough that would push me to the newer one. The lag is gone. It's so snappy. The new autofocus modes, including the bird eye, worked so well at the market. My hit rate was 5 or 10x of the previous generation. It picks them up, it stays with them. But there was still one odd thing, that the frames per second you're achieving and clearing the buffer still isn't great on the new guy. I'm gonna shoot 8 frames a second for 10 seconds or until it stops, and then see how long it takes to clear the buffer. So starting now. Up, so it stopped after 5 seconds. Let's try it on the old one too. Okay, so that's nowhere near 8 frames a second. And it stopped after under 5 seconds. Okay, they both fired for around 5 seconds. At 8 frames a second, they should have done 40. The new guy did 32 frames and took 30 seconds to clear. The old guy took 19 frames and took 15 seconds to clear. So actually, frames per second wise, the old one cleared the buffer sooner, but I'm just kind of amazed that neither of them got anywhere near the frames per second that it was set to at 8. Quick shout out to Anker. I've been using a few pieces from their Prime range and they're outstanding for my workflow on the go. I own the Prime 26,250 milliamp hour power bank that offers up to 300 watts of output. This thing is a beast for travel and photo gigs. On my recent trip to Peru, I used it to power my Nikon ZR camera for full days of filming without needing to change the camera battery once. And I was able to simultaneously recharge my phone and action cameras, even my computer whilst on the road, USB powering everything without worrying about outlets. The nerd in me loves that it shows the power delivery for each port too. More recently, I got the Prime wireless charging station for my desk in the office. It's sleek, fast, and exceptionally well built. It features Qi 2 25-watt wireless charging speeds, and it also has a little power readout display. It charges my phone, earbuds, and watch all at once, and the active cooling system keeps everything running fast and stable. If you need reliable power in studio or on the road, these Anker Prime devices are great. Big thanks to Anker for supporting the channel. Check the links in the description below if you want to grab one for yourself. So look, comparing these guys side by side on the street, I've just been thinking about ergonomics and handling and the displays. Look at them side by side. Can you actually tell which is which? Probably not. They're so similar. Other than the film simulation dial, the interface is so similar. But there is a difference to how the dials feel, especially some of the smaller dials. I'd say maybe slightly more clicky on the new one. And then I feel like the view mode button is a little different as well, but marginal. But because the new guy has that new processor in there, the whole thing feels like a much more modern camera because the process of interfacing with it isn't always bogged down by delays and lags and that kind of thing. So ergonomics is essentially the same, but the experience of shooting with it is greatly improved. Okay, look, the Fujis are small and compact. They have a great design. Everything comes with a trade-off. So it's not really fair to say these are shortcomings because it's going to depend on your hand. But for me, two things jumping out. One, I love the film simulation dial. Bring it to every Fuji in my opinion. But that was your release mode. So now to adjust your frames per second, you've got to hit the dedicated drive mode button and then scroll through a list. It takes more time, and I do find myself missing the start of, say, video recording when I'm switching into that mode. Other thing is, it could be just my hand, but I find the thumb relief too small. When I'm using a big lens, I need to put a lot of pressure on that point, and my thumb's often rolling over and hitting the quick menu, which then is obscuring what I'm trying to shoot. I'll be walking around, bring the camera up to shoot, and then I can't actually see my frame. So for my hand size, that's not a great design. I got pooed on. Well, that was fun. I just got shat on, as that happens. Autofocus and the new subject detection. The new processor opens up new AI autofocus modes on the Mark III, and the bird detection is definitely better than on the Generation 2. It's still got those classic Fuji quirks of jumping from the bird to the branch to the apple and not really staying with them. Sometimes it picks them out really, really quickly. Other times it's on them and then just for some reason decides to go and get lost in the background. Generally, I found stopping down to like f2.8 worked better, and maybe that's giving it more contrast to work with, which is understandable, but kind of disappointing if you're shelling out for the 1.2 or 1.0 lenses to then need to shoot stop down to be able to have the autofocus work. But still, it's noticeably improved over the Mark II. Polycamera merch available in the store, poop stains not included. Okay, I want to compare the two cameras in good light, how they're doing with eye tracking. If you're going to shoot portraits with these, that's important. So starting out with the older one, just turn your head back and forward a little bit and then do a 360 on the spot for me. Okay, so you can see it's doing pretty well, but it's not perfect. And when she turns away, it kind of loses her altogether. When it comes back, it just detects something, but not necessarily face and eye. Let's switch the lenses and everything and then try it with the new one. Okay, with the newer guy, yeah, it's sticking with her better. It's even like the eye is going to the shape of her eye, not just a generic box, which is kind of cool. As I go in, the shape and size adjusts to be with her actual eye shape. And as she was turning around, it was staying with the back of her head and clear that it knew it was a head. So definitely a step forward on the new guy. It goes without saying that one of the appeals of Fuji, whether you're a user or just someone, even if you're not interested in Fujis, their film simulations are really cool. So both of them have a huge array of film simulations, but the version 3 adds 2 additional ones that the 2 doesn't, Reala Ace and Nostalgic Neg. Now, changing the film simulations, you can do it the same way on either one. You can have it by default in your quick menu, you can assign a button to it, but the new guy having that top dial, one is so much quicker, but the graphic interface is so much nicer. On the Mark II, it's the standard way. If you're in the Q menu, you just see the profile changing. If you bring it up as an individual menu item, you see the list, but it's not that cool. On the new guy, as you're changing the dial, you see the different film canisters, and it's a nice little thing off to the side so you can still see your frame. It's a really nice way of doing it. In terms of the simulations, I'm not seeing any difference between the two in terms of how they look, and I haven't really found much variation in any of the Fuji cameras. So if you liked the 2, you're still going to like the 3, with the added benefit of having the quick access and the 2 new profiles. Okay, guys, so we're going to shoot a boudoir session now in the middle of today's filming. If you're not already, check out Patreon Uncut. Honey, all the different models, Felicia, Steph, everyone that I shoot with, we share behind the scenes, uncut, uncensored, full access to the different shoots. You can see the different packages we have available over there. But right now, for you guys on YouTube, keeping things YouTube friendly, I'm going to do just a quick high ISO comparison on the cameras. Let's do, say, 6400 and 12800 on each one and see how they compare. So to do that, okay, so for this I want to use the bathroom to light you now that we have so little light. So I'm thinking you can use this if it doesn't block you off too much, but like this kind of pose. So I'm going to be shooting along the bed at you. Okay. So look, I can't tell how the ISO is performing on the back of camera. We'll go back in studio to check that. Okay, back in studio now. Let's compare the images side by side. I've already taken a look. There's a few interesting things I want to draw out at the end, but first let's just go straight in. These are the 6400 images. On the left, the 3-star is the Mark III, and on the right is the 2-star, the Mark II. So taking a look, you have to keep in mind that raw doesn't mean 100% raw. The new processor and the new algorithms do make a difference, and to my eye, the 3 looks noticeably better. Jumping out, and let's take a look at the 12800s. And again, to me, noticeably better on the newer guy. And you might notice the obvious white balance shift there. I don't get what's going on here. All of these shots were taken within a couple of minutes of each other on essentially the same settings, in essentially the same light, pretty much the same frame. And I actually went through to make sure that they are all equalized in terms of their white balance settings, and just look at the variance between the colors that we're getting on these. Really big differences there. And another thing that I noticed here, the Mark II, I had a lot more shots in these low light situations that had slightly missed focus. Like it had thought it had the eye, but it was really struggling to focus in low light. So I think it's fair to say that the new edition, the Mark III, also has better and more reliable low light autofocus. Okay folks, so I've really enjoyed comparing these cameras. I guess the ultimate question is the Mark III of the X-T30 a worthy successor, and should you be considering it? Overall, for me, as someone who doesn't own a Fuji camera, I think I can honestly say this is the first mid-range camera in a long time from them that I would seriously consider. I've found in the past that they're often, for their time, a bit slow and laggy and buggy compared to what the other brands are offering at that point in time. But this The improvements, I mean, I still found some things laggy and buggy, to be perfectly honest, but the difference between these two is significant. The processor, I think, is making a big difference. The autofocus is snappier, more responsive. Going through the menus is faster and a nicer experience. The new film simulation dial, I love the integration of that. As I said, bring it to every Fuji camera. I would love to see that. Pair with that, slightly better high ISO performance, and I think it is definitely a worthy successor. But if you were already owning the Mark II and you're happy with the autofocus and you're happy with the speed of it, then I don't think these are particularly meaningful upgrades for you. But if you're already owning the X-T30 Mark II and thinking about upgrading, I think it really comes down to, do you get frustrated by the kind of the snappiness, responsiveness, and the autofocus? If you do, then this could really be a worthwhile upgrade. But if you're happy with the overall speed and operation of the two, then I don't think the other upgrades in here are worth the extra cost of it. I hope you found that useful. I hope you found some photos that you've liked there. Check out the links for the cameras, Honey's social media, as well as Patreon below, and we'll see you guys soon.